doubt. Recognize 100.
So the topic for today, you all, the topic for today is the age of consent. The age of consent, and what's so funny, I posted some stuff about the age of consent, and it seems to have started kind of a thread on Facebook. And people were, posting and actually getting into arguments and stuff, and which is what you have to admit, that's, as long as you're not killing each other, I'm kind of okay with it. So, it was kind of nice, and people were arguing. But what was the shock to me was what people were arguing about. It wasn't that I actually told Omari last night, I said, Omari, take a look at this. I said, okay, so we're going to talk about the age of consent, but most of the comments are people who are criticizing other cultures for what they perceive to be a lack of concern in this area. So it started out with someone accusing Afghans, and then everybody was chiming in. It went from the white man to the black man to the yellow man. Right. It's always the men, by the way, of course, and that's part of it. But what everyone seems to have been talking about is really pointing the finger. So I wanted to take a look at the topic. And also, because I can actually add my own personal experience, because as a 30-year pediatrician, emergency, intensive care, critical care, I came up against this all the time in the ER. Okay, I came up. Sometimes you got to make that call, and here come the police. Okay, but being a pediatrician that worked in the emergency room, I saw abuse. All kinds of abuse, and sexual abuse is just one of the kinds of abuse. So, we're going to talk about the age of consent, but because I didn't want it to get all over the place, I kind of sorted it down into a few little areas. And let me get some of my literature, because I have my literature, my information. Okay, first of all, let's talk about what is consent. See, everybody's got a different understanding. What is consent? Consent is the legal minimum age at which a person can consent to participation in sexual intercourse. Okay, notice they said intercourse. And let me make one point clear to everyone. There is no uniform age of consent. I need to say it again. There's no uniform age of consent. That means the United States varies. In the United States, the age of consent ranges from 16 to 18. That means if you are 15 years of or age or younger, you cannot legally consent. But the age in the United States ranges from 16 to 18. Persons who have sex with people under these ages could be charged with statutory rape, which is a term that's not used everywhere. Now in California, we have illegal intercourse. You have some places where it's called unlawful knowledge of a minor. It's a lot of things. But that's the age of consent. Now, before we get started, because you probably going to change your mind during this discussion. Why does consent exist? Now I'm going to query my esteemed panel here just to see what they think. Because remember, it's just to see what you think. So Omari, you staring at me. Omari, and as you move your mic closer and forward, then you're going to...
So consent, I would say every person should have the right to say what or what doesn't happen to them or their body. Every person should have the right to believe whatever it is they want to believe and do whatever it is they want to do. You got that right. Now, whether or not we agree with that, I just believe everyone should have the right to control them, their body. their thoughts.
So the question is, and we do, that's kind of universal, but the question would then become, what age? How about you, Vic? What is your perceptions?
My perception is that when man sits back and gives a number, and they say age of consent is 18, I just add plus 3 or 4 more years because I don't trust the whole issue with men because they're always doing that as a control and power thing. And I think individually, it is so hard to get a universal kind of agreement because of different cultures.
Right.
So for me, it is something I've basically said, try to stay far away from the boundaries in your country. Don't get close to that lane. The age is 18. I'm so thankful that I'm much older now. I don't even have to revisit it, but I do understand this. You got to have something to say because we have children. You have to have guidance. And I can imagine Mario sitting up here going through a lot of people arguing on this, and now is raising his head. And I can't wait to see what the universal answer is, because it won't be universally agreed upon. People are going to have arguments.
Well, that's why I wanted to break it down. See, so let's get to the first part. So the age of consent exists to protect young women from men, older men. Let's say that again. The age of consent exists to protect young women from older men. Now, I had to make sure I said older. Mm-hmm. Now, why did I have to say older? Every society, for the most part, looks at a young man and a young girl of approximately the same age and giving it. Hey, no one seems to want to criminalize that. They're trying to protect the younger women from older men, not necessarily from men their own age, because everybody kind of somehow recognizes the forces of nature in young people, and almost no one wants to criminalize that. So, almost everywhere you look, whatever the age of consent is, there are conditions. There are conditions to that consent. Some places it has to do with parental permission for people to get married. But there are others, there are conditions for people to do this. So, if you look everywhere, it has to do with the age of the guy. Now, let me tell you my experience in the emergency room. Because you had to actually run to the wall to look at a chart, because it changed.
That's right.
In my 30-year career, it probably changed 5 or 6 times.
Right.
Okay, so age of consent, especially in the state of California, has everything to do with the age difference between the parties. In most places, again, it may be changed today, but in most places, if the male is within 2 to 3 years of age of the female, it's handled differently. Sometimes the 3 is a cutoff. So let's just say safely, if she's 13 and he's 15, if she's 14 and he's 16, if she's 15 and he's 17, the police are most likely not going to get involved in California. Parents can make a claim and try to do more, but it is a difference. Amari, I can see.
He can't wait.
Come on.
Yeah, because I got some homeboys that there's a year difference, 17 and 18. Now maybe that doesn't apply to Compton, Watts, South LA, but there's some young brothers who, a little high school, they go off to college and have some type of relationship with a young girl that's still in high school, and they become they get on that list. What's the list called? The sex offender for the rest of their lives. Now they're 18 years old. They first year in college. They what happens to them? So I'm saying, I know for a fact, I know people who are great people, great guys who have been who are on that sex offender list, and they've had to live that way their entire adult life because of that one issue.
Well, there's no question. I can tell you this, that it's very selective. I can tell you it depends who answers the phone. When I was in the ER, sometimes you call them with something you think is nothing, and the person on the other line wants to take it to the nth degree. Other times you call them with things that you think are horrible, and they want to talk about refer for next week. So that's too much power to put into one individual. The issue we always had was standardization.
When you say one individual, you're talking about the
Social worker who's on call.
Right.
That you call in the middle of the night and say you have a 14-year-old whose physical exam shows that someone has been sexually handling her genitals. She's got bruises all over her labia and a hymenal tear, so somebody's been doing her. Okay, now the question is, what does that mean? Because again, the age. So let me give you some information. We sort of got the part that we know that the consent exists. We know it exists to protect young girls from men. Does anyone have older men? Does anyone have an issue just with the basic understanding that most societies struggle when it's too young people?
Right.
Does everybody kind of okay with that? Like treating a 14 and a 15-year-old differently than a 14 and an 18-year-old?
Yes.
Everybody, everybody. If it's she's 14 and he's 18.
So it's just like the legislators who create these laws. I just think that our values, we have a value system that says, no, I don't want no 18-year-old boy messing with my 14-year-old daughter like that. But somebody created this law, and they put these two numbers there.
And then if she's 15, it's different. Because let's be real.
It depends. If you're the dad, it might not be.
It might be different. Let's be real. Let's talk about the realness of this. In every neighborhood, there are women that everybody in the neighborhood is waiting for them to turn 18. Everybody's going,
Yeah.
hey man, she's 17. She's 17.
You hear it.
They can look at Omari. Look at Omari's face.
Yeah, you hear it. The talk is all around you. It's all around you.
Yeah.
And Mario, let me ask you this: while you're giving out, the wisdom, the knowledge, and the questions, were you thinking like that? Because when we're younger, the one question I had coming, how well are we taught and educated as we're young?
No, when I was younger, I didn't care, because if I was 16 and 17, I was trying to get at them at 16 and 17. I wasn't waiting for them to turn 18.
Which most in high school are going through anyway.
Well, that's
right?
and that's why the law is trying not to criminalize young men for their fanciness toward young women.
And so what you're saying is, the law is not worried about the young teenagers. They're worried about old men. That's what it is. It's always been.
But what if it's an old man? See, I think you got to take into account some other things. That's why I think you got to have some room for individualizing it. Because if you have a very immature older guy, he may be 22 with the social skills of a 17 years old.
Right.
And in that case, he may bond with a young girl of 17. She may be 17, he may be 24. Now, when they bring them in front of you, now if you're the judge and they march them in, the girl may be 17 going on 30.
Right.
And the guy may be 24 going on 12.
Right.
Okay, and so you could I think there should be some room for, because I've seen them. I'm just telling you. I've seen 13-year-olds that look 20.
Right.
Okay? Right. And I'm thinking, oh, Lord. Yeah. Oh, Lord. Okay, yeah. I'm just thinking, it's hard for the ones who blossom early, but we all know. So Audrey Parrish, are you out there?
No, that's jacked up. Audrey.
She don't mind. That's my friend.
Audrey.
She was one of my young friends who was a woman in high school. She had the body of better than most grown women.
And right now, you're smiling, Audrey. I can tell.
Well, I'm thinking that she had the body.
Right. Now, Mario.
Lord.
Do you have a better understanding why you got, and I'm not talking about the weapon, the shotgun mentality of fathers protecting their daughters?
Oh, I would be ready to kill. But, here's the problem. And the inconsistency. I really have a dislike for the sexualization of our young women. See, we sexualize them and then expect men to ignore that. You start dressing them like women at 12 and putting on thongs and all this. It's not appropriate to me. You're dressing them to make them attractive to older men, and then you're relying on the old men's ability to withstand temptation. I don't like this, even
Right.
though sometimes it's inevitable. I can tell you, at some point, the young girl's transitioning to womanhood, okay? And just like the young men, it's a confusing period in there,
Yeah.
okay? And you can't trust them because what they want to do ain't what they need to do. That's hormonal and natural. So it's not easy as we think. That's the one thing that I'm saying. It's not as easy, and there's always exceptions to the rule. So anyway, let me tell you, because I'm gonna tell you the age of consent in the United States. Because remember, I said it ranges from 16 to 18. So I can tell you, first of all, most places it's 16. You go, oh. Okay.
Wow.
Alabama, 16.
Wow.
Alaska, 16. Arizona, 18. Arkansas, 16. California, 18. Colorado, 17. Connecticut, 16. Washington, D.C., 16. Delaware, 18. So you better be careful in borders. If you in D.C., don't go over to Delaware. Don't go over to Florida, 18. And you know what they're doing in Florida, because we're going to come to that in a minute, what they enforce. Georgia, 16. Hawaii, 16. Idaho, 18. Illinois, 17. Indiana, 16. Iowa, 16. Kansas, 16. Kentucky, 16. Louisiana, 17. Maine, 16. Maryland, 16. Massachusetts, 16. Michigan, 16. Minnesota, 16. Mississippi, 16. Missouri, 17. Montana, 16. Nebraska, 17. Nevada, 16. New Hampshire, 16. New Jersey, 16. New Mexico, 17. Have you heard of 18? Have you heard one
Not
yet?
yet. Not
Have
yet,
you heard
man.
one?
Wow. Wow.
New York, 17. North Carolina, 16. North Dakota, 18. Ohio, 16. Oklahoma, 16. Oregon, 18. Pennsylvania, 16. Rhode Island, 16. South Carolina, 16. South Dakota, 16. Tennessee, 18. Texas, 17. Utah, 18. Vermont, 16. Virginia, 18. Washington State, 16. West Virginia, 16. Wisconsin, 18. And Wyoming, 18.
Right now, I want Mario to give me the sound effect that he believes 16 to 18-year-olds right now are listening to this show. Are they saying yay or boo?
Well, they probably saying boo.
Yes. Right.
But hey, here's the thing that I tell everybody. And I tell this, when I talk to the teens, I tell them this. You will be hard-pressed to find anyone who will say to you, I wish I had started having sex earlier.
Right. Yeah.
You won't find the men saying that.
Right. Right. Right.
No one says, I wish I had started having sex earlier. No one. Okay, so figure that one out. Okay, I tell them, I say, go ask your mama. Go ask people. Why is there no one saying, gee, I wish I had started having sex earlier? And the young people look at me, they give me a look, I say, well, go ask somebody.
Mario, did you play the dozens when you were young?
That's
Just rolled off your mouth too easy. Go ask your mama. Go ask your mama.
Well, I got a follow-up question myself. I have a follow-up question myself because it's
Oh,
important.
Barry.
It's important.
It's impotent.
It's impotent.
I'm impotent.
It's important.
I'm in Poland.
Right. Here's the question. How many men in this room have been semi-threatened or challenged at a young age when they were seeing a father's daughter who gave the keep your ass away? Anybody in this room gone through that?
I got a story.
There you
Well,
go.
so I was going to answer the question earlier. Where I grew up,
Right.
everybody knew everybody's parents, and at
Right.
best, I was just hopeful. But I didn't have no plan for none of the girls, and we had some very attractive young ladies that I grew up with. But
Compton.
beyond being hopeful, I was trying to get, for me, I think that when I was in high school and girls became attracted to me and I started noticing them,
Right.
I just couldn't figure. Nobody told me what to say, so it's like, do they just walk up to you and hand it to you, or
Right.
do you have to have? So it took me a minute. I had to learn how to talk shit to some of my homies before I figured out. Okay, well, this is not what you say to the girls. You talk to the girls. So I was just hopeful.
Okay. Mario, you got your story? Because I think we all should share the stories at that age so we can kind of relate with the story.
I graduated high school at 16, turned 17 that July, and went to Howard. When I came home at the end of my freshman year, okay, my friend across the street, who I'd grown up with, who was still in high school, remember, I had just been in college 1 year. So I came home, and my friend across the street, who I grew up with, was having a party. I go to the party and meet this girl. And she said, yeah, we wanted you to meet her. And I meet this girl. She is so fine, and I'm hitting on her. And at one point, I'm kissing on her. And then my friend says, she's 14. I said, take it. She said, but Mario, you ain't, but I think I hadn't even turned 18 yet. So I was still 17. But I said, I'm in college. I'm a college man. Even though I'm 17, I'll be 18 in a few days. And she said, well, she's 14. She'll be 15 in a month. I said, and she's just smiling.
Wow.
Now, I know her today.
Right.
Are you still kissing her?
No, she probably laughed and she said, Mario.
Is she listening now?
I don't know, but I'm just saying.
All right.
I was shocked and then again, I was really still 17 legally. I hadn't turned 18 till July, so I was still 17. The girl was 14, about to turn 15, but I was like freaking out, and she was full woman. You should have seen her.
Right.
Lord, and luckily I didn't do nothing but kiss her. But in a minute, here lies Mario. It's the same old song. Putting his hands where they didn't belong.
It's so funny. Everybody got this story. I have one, and then it just somehow or another I dropped off the face of the planet. It's always the neighborhood when you're 14 or 15 because you don't know anything else. So for me, I never approached women because at this time, black men, dark-skinned black men, what I preferred, and I was told this over and over.
Blackie.
I was talked about Sambo, Africa's Blackest Child, which I'm not that dark.
So when did the
Everything.
chocolate sexy thing come in?
Mario made that up.
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, Mario
It came
made that
in
up.
with Wesley Snipes. I remember when it
60
happened.
years later, huh?
Yeah.
When we were in high school, if you were black with green eyes and light skin, it was
Right.
in.
So
One day they wasn't in
right.
no more.
So I remember one day on the bus, new neighbor was across the street. Yeah, it's a new neighbor, it's a girl, okay. But I had already had this doctrine. Nobody wants you because you're talked about in the whole neighborhood. She got off the bus one day, I was walking side by side, I think it was 15. And she was just, how you staring at somebody like they took your money or something? And she did the grab and leaned me over for my first ever kiss. And I sat there and went, that's my best new friend. I'm going to visit her, which I would visit her when her parents were gone. And then one day I went over there and the parents was coming home up in the driveway and I scurried out. I said, cool, I'm going to go to the liquor store. Of course, the guy said, I'm gonna
go to the liquor store.
I'm going to go to the liquor store.
The
As I
center
was
of the
coming back-
community.
As I was coming back from the liquor store, from a distance of several houses down, I see this man walking with my green jacket, handing it to my mom as she meets him in the middle of the street.
You left your jacket.
I left my jacket. Her father did it. And my mom waited till I got home. And then, of course, I got the belt, some verbalization, the belt,
Yeah.
some verbalization. So we all got stories, right? But that was it. After that, because of my mentality that no one really wants me, I had a terrible high school. No dates, no girlfriends, nothing. I know that some people will go, no way. Absolutely.
That was my high school experience.
Yeah, man. It was just,
that's my mom was always saying, you can't bring no children home here, and
Right.
all those little messages. But like I said, I remained hopeful.
we all do, man. We all do. And then we get exposed because this is the part that Mario, and he's talking about the age of consent, but the part that Mario absolutely knows is that when you're 15 to 16, you're trying to get out. You're pushing the narrative, and that's men and women, or girls and boys. They're trying to get out of jail. And when I say that, you know what that means.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the girls, like we used to say they ready to give it up out of both pants legs. I mean, it's a fight to hold your children back. You know,
Well,
they listen to you, but they want to do it. They're drawn to do it.
So
okay,
I will tell you this: when it comes to consent, now I look back. I wanted to get out of my parents' home so bad. I think I just made the worst decision. And fucking joined the army. What kind of shit was that?
Oh my God.
And then they told me I was going to be in the band. I only saw the band one time, and that was when I graduated.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I wish, my mother tried to tell me, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm about to man up.
Yeah.
Go to the army, protect the country, protect the family name.
It was your getaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Escapism. I did the same thing. Sat in the recruiting office because I said, like, girls don't like me. I get talked about in the neighborhood. My father doesn't want me to join. He fought in Korea, and I'm going. I just got to do something else. It was my your getaway, and thank God I didn't sign. I walked out of that recruitment's office, and things changed.
So see, consent can go both ways, right?
consent. Well, we don't think of it that way, but it can. Now, let's consider this. The age of consent varies internationally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to there because here's where
Younger.
Omari, the blackness, Omari. So let me talk about let's start at the lowest and come up.
Oh my God.
Most countries require young people to be at least 14 before having sex, but there are exceptions
And we know which one.
to that rule. Let's talk about the exceptions to the rule. Angola and the Philippines both set the age of consent at 12, which is the lowest in the world. That's Angola and the Philippines both set the age of consent at 12. Several other countries, including Niger and Japan, have designated the age of 13
So what? But
as the age of consent.
what joy? What? I don't know. I mean, I just
Okay.
can't imagine that being fun or intimate in any kind of way.
Like I said, I'm not trying to throw that out there, but do you have a historical precedent at which
Right.
age women were married?
Right.
They were pretty much married by 15.
Right.
And I can tell you as the pediatrician, I don't want to scare you, but I have seen 13-year-olds where I go like, all I can tell you, because I'm thinking if I'm looking at you, Lord knows.
Right.
See, if I was your daddy, I'd be freaking out.
Right.
I'd be freaking out.
Yeah.
Because you can't help it. I'm looking at them. They 13. They are grown. Okay? Physically, they are grown. Now, you can talk about their mind. I'm telling you, Mother Nature has them equipped, okay,
Yeah.
for motherhood, but not emotionally. So, internationally, it ranges from 13 to 20. Some people, in some countries, which is interesting, there are countries in Asia and Africa that actually require you to be married before you can give consent. So you can't even give consent. Let me find it. You can't even give consent until you married. Okay? You can't even give consent. Let me see. So in Pakistan, Iran, Sudan, you got to be married to give consent. Let me see. I'm going to turn the page. Oh, there's even more. Here's the ones that all say you got to be married to give consent. Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, the Arab Emirates, Libya, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, and Maldives. You must be. But here, the age of consent is reported to be as low as 11 in parts of Nigeria, 12 in the Philippines, 12 in Angola, 13 in Japan, 13 in Niger, 14 in China, 14 in Brazil, 14 in Bangladesh, 14 in Congo, 14 in Germany, 14 in Italy, 14 in Myanmar, 14 in Colombia, 14 in Peru, 14 in Madagascar, in Malawi, Ecuador, and Chad is 14.
So wait, let's go back to the African country.
You have to be married.
So if don't nobody wants you for 30 years, you can't say.
Okay, if some of them you got to be married. Look at this. I can tell you, for
can be-
Bolivia, Portugal, Hungary, Austria, Serbia, Paraguay, Bulgaria, Albania, Estonia, Mauritius, Montenegro, Cape Verde, Micronesia, Liechtenstein, San Marino, those are all 14. When you get to Thailand, France, Poland, North Korea, Syria, Romania, Cambodia, it's 15. It's 15 also in Guinea, the Czech Republic, Greece, Honduras, Sweden, Laos, Denmark, Costa Rica, Croatia, Uruguay, Slovenia, Iceland, Kiribati, Aruba, and Monaco are all 15. In the United States, it's 16, Indonesia 16, Russia 16, UK 16, South Africa 16, Spain, Algeria, Ukraine, Canada, Uzbekistan, Malaysia, Ghana, Nepal, Venezuela, Cameroon, Australia, all 16. Taiwan, Sri Lanka, Zambia, Kazakhstan, Senegal, Netherlands, Zimbabwe, Belgium, Cuba, Azerbaijan, Belarus, New Guinea, Israel, Switzerland, Togo, Turkmenistan, Singapore, Finland, Norway, New Zealand, Georgia, Mongolia, Jamaica, Armenia, all 16. Whew, Lord, I can't get to 18. There's too many to read. The only people 18 is India, Ethiopia, Egypt, Vietnam, Turkey, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Argentina, Iraq, Ivory Coast, Mali, Chile, Guatemala, Somalia, Rwanda, Benin, Burundi, Tunisia, Haiti, South Sudan, Dominican Republic, Sierra Leone, Nicaragua, Lebanon, El Salvador, Republic of Congo, Liberia, Panama, Eritrea, Gambia, Gabon, Guinea,
So let me ask
Bhutan.
you
Those are all 18. Vatican City is 18.
So-
Hey, South Korea is 20, and Bahrain is 21.
So if you explored it further, would it give you any rationale or logistics why these countries even set a particular age, or is that
A lot of it, I would, and I don't know, and I think a lot of it is cultural, and so therefore the difference. Again, almost every one of them, even though I've given you the legal limits, that is never the same as what is prosecuted.
right?
It's never the same. Because some of the countries that have the high ages are known for doing a lot of stuff, and it's not prosecuted. So it doesn't make any difference what law you have.
Wasn't there an article or a big thing a while back about a bunch of doctors that used to travel to one of the Asian countries just to have sex with these 13-year-old girls and 14-year-old girls?
Well, you know, that exists. I'm sure.
But I mean, they were doing like group tours and shit. Just a bunch.
Yeah,
of,
well, you know, where there's a little, there.
a lot. Huh?
Yeah, there's going to be
There's a little
little
there's
bit.
a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
and a lot. So again, ladies and gentlemen, that's been our discussion of the age of consent. Got a bunch of stuff. We're going to have a longer broadcast today, and it's going to be a longer broadcast. A lot of stuff going on. We're going to be coming back with Omari Bakari and then Victor Allen's Ethos, because they got a lot to do. But you know how we do it. Where's my... See, sometimes the buttons get stuck.
Oh boy.
Hey.
How's your Memorial Day?
Playing
Feeling.
from Mario's
Wow.
iPad. 4.
Take a musical break. Take a puff. We'll be right back with Omari Bakari and his Java joint. Come on, y'all.
soft, small braids, Kool-Aid, melon in the shade. Cute boys, first jobs, divas being snobs. Telephone, internet, computer, got my love. Barbecues, boo parties, overnight stays. Little drinking, little kissing, playing these games. Boys trying to back him, then the next day bragging, but you didn't want to kiss him cause he had that dragon. Laughing till you pee, hoping homies don't see. Cut a little grass for some gas money. Chilling at the malls, getting sticky with the paws. You did it for the rush like a rebel with no cause. Rebel with no cause, rebel with no cause. You want attention, so you looking for applause.
Online dating and cryptocurrency.
It was the summertime to us, it had no flaws. Rebel with no cause, rebel
You
with
would
no
think
cause.
they would not be
You want
related.
attention, so you looking for applause. See, we were kids, the laws didn't have
You
a
know.
flaws. It was the summertime to had no flaws.
Yes. Yes.
Posted at the hoop court 3 straight hours, wiping in these skirts with the airbrush flowers. We went to cheer the lads and they appreciated that. And you would almost die when he let you wear his cap. You might have told a lie and abbreviated facts if you came home late and were accused of being baked. Me, I didn't smoke, no, mama, I swear. She's only gonna judge me and you know it ain't fair. Trips to the beauty shop, keeping fresh hair. Blowing $80 at the damn state fair. Beach body surfing with the abs looking perfect. Hitting all the clubs, getting love on the circuit. From ice cream cones to the Starbucks stones to your new best friend to your breakup song. They all play out like your favorite days. We love the summertime and it ain't gonna change. Rebel with no cause, rebel with no cause. You want attention, so you looking for applause. See, we were kids, the laws didn't have a clause. It was the summertime to us, it had no flaws. Rebel with no cause, rebel with no cause. You want attention, so you looking for applause. See, we were kids, the laws didn't have a clause. It was the summertime to had no flaws.
Come on. Damn thing won't act. Okay. Sometimes the technology is not doing what it should do. But what can we say? That's the way it works. We're having a wonderful day here in Los Angeles. We are in View Park. And as we so often say, we may not be in the ghetto, but we can see the fence. Beautiful day. Alexa, what's the weather in View Park, California?
Currently, in View Park, California, it's 71 degrees Fahrenheit with clear skies and sun. Today, you can expect partly sunny weather, with a high of 73 degrees and a low of 58 degrees. By the way, I can help you jumpstart your summer reading goals with this month's free Audible book. Just ask Alexa, what's free from Audible?
Yeah, blow me, Alexa. I don't. Just leave us alone.
I can't wait till I get home.
Yeah, what? What? If you can't cuss out Alexa, who can you cuss out?
Siri.
Cuss out Siri.
Yeah, shit.
That's right. That's right. I'm trying to get all my sound effects in here. That one works.